the private prison industry and the prison industrial complex in general, two of the largest for-profit prison industries is CCA, Corrections Corporation of America, and GEO. These are the two largest in America, and so these are companies that basically house, of course, individuals who have, committed crimes, right, or people who simply were just crossing the border, which is what they're capitalizing now with immigration, and they house individuals in their beds, human beings who are turned into commodities because they are now seen as an item. So there is no incentive to rehabilitate. There is no incentive to help them out transition outside of incarceration when their monetary gain is just to want to bring money in. They want to bring people in. So it contradicts, I don't know, everything in general. It's like, what are you doing? You want to make money off pushing for strict punishment when it comes to harsh sentencing laws, immigration policies, which is why you see mass deportation now today in America, which is why 66% of ICE facilities now are owned by for-profit prison industries. And here in San Diego, we have history with CCA. We have 3 facilities here in San Diego. One is actually here in the heart of Barrio, Logan. And one of the facilities is actually a prison, which is an ICE facility at the Otay border. That right there was actually is the largest ICE contract for CCA, and that facility itself got CCA out of bankruptcy in 2000 when it was about to go bankrupt in the 90s. And in 2013, CCA capitalized on a new form of alternative correctional control, which is reentry, mental health, electronic monitoring. So they purchased these 2 reentry centers here in San Diego in 2013 for $36 million. One is on Ocean View Boulevard, which is a 463-bed facility, and the other one is on Boston Avenue, which is a 120-bed facility. So these are in the heart of our neighborhoods, and that ties into another term where I tie into environmental racism, right? Why are these centers placed in underserved communities? You wouldn't find a center like this in La Jolla. You wouldn't find these centers in those backyards because there would be public uproar. But here in this community, we just become to accept it as the norm. So we're not really wanting to challenge it. For-profit and CCA has approximately, I think it's 83 facilities across the country. I don't exactly know how many GEO has, but it's around the same ballpark. And their network has expanded dramatically. So now they're diving not only prisons, they're diving into reentry services now. Just another alternative form to generate revenue, to make money off keeping people in their beds. So think of beds as shelves at Home Depot or Walmart, where they're continuing selling and they're taking people in.
Did they start to grow exponentially after the signature of the 1996 crime bill?
Well, I mean, this goes back to all the way the whole drug war. The era on the drug war, right? In general, and it's just, I don't know, like, to see how I think the numbers is 600 or actually it's 1,200%, something like that. I've seen the drastic increase in incarceration with private prisons, but. Yeah, I mean, the crime bill in '96 had a tremendous effect on for-profit prison industries, and with the recent such here in California with Governor Brown in 2010 and 2014, him himself took money from GEO lobbyists, from GEO, right, for his re-election campaign. And after his re-election years, he constructed more jails which were owned by GEO in Los Angeles County, and so. That goes to show where not only was it in '96 or during the war on drugs, it's still happening today, here in 2016. To see the transformation, to see how it's a business, it continues to boom, and a lot of people are kind of blind to it, or really don't understand the complex. How it's not only these private prisons, that capitalize off it. It's the whole complex in general. We look at McDonald's, we look at Home Depot, we look at Walmart, we look at Starbucks. These are all industries that capitalize off of prison labor, that capitalize off of for-profit prison industries. Even me, I'm not going to lie, the shoes I'm wearing today are by Nike, and Nike is part of the complex. And today I've devoted myself not to even purchase any Nike shoes no more, which is why I'm using them on dirt now. So I want to wake people up, when it comes to to for-profit prison industries, how it's all tied into everything in life, the things that we use, the things that we watch. So imagine what we could do without for-profit prison industries. We need to begin to reimagine prisons. We need to begin to reimagine reentry and come up with alternative solutions that are authentic, where we are actually rehabilitating and helping people transition outside of prisons back into their communities rather than incarcerating. I always say, let's set up a school to college pipeline rather than a school to prison pipeline.
Specifically to San Diego, what changes have you been able to get from the sheriff's department?
Oh, so automatically small changes have been great. Changes have already been happening. And I understand, like I said, it's a marathon. We started that hunger strike, right? We went on 11 days, and after 11 days, I'm a man that loves to eat. So we took a page from the Reverend Jesse Jackson and our great Cesar Chavez, to where now we're alternating days. So most importantly, number one is waking people up, is becoming woke and understanding the issues and understanding what's in your backyard. People are starting to be like, what is CCA? What is GEO? So number one, that right there is already a victory, waking people up, and people that don't understand it wanting to understand it. Another thing is small victories within the facility. They've already been updating some of the AC units in the facilities, inside the facility on Ocean View. They picked up on sanitation, which is great. Some of the staff members have been more professional and wanting to help people out. And like I said, I get these statements from people who are currently in these facilities. So they're telling me this on a daily basis, and staff members as well. In regards to the sheriffs and county probation, like I said, we had our meeting yesterday, and we literally gave them, it was a Q&A, and at the end we gave them a list of action items, I think it was 25 to 30 of them, action item demands. And with that, we're going to follow up with them in 30 to 45 days. They were very receptive to what we delivered to them, and they actually agreed and said these are actually demands that can be met. So for them actually saying that, and for them to actually just have the dialogue and to have the conversations, is great, because I don't ever recall any community members, here in San Diego in general, having a meeting with the sheriff's department and county probation when it comes to reentry. Reentry is something that people really don't even understand. And I think it's an important process for people after incarceration that we need to hit on hard. And part of that is what we want to create is actually an oversight committee when it comes to reentry, and that involves regular community members just overseeing these facilities and see what's going on. So that right itself is a victory, just for them to want to have dialogue with us, to sit with us, to look each other eye to eye. To me is victory itself. So we'll see in 30 to 45 days to see what action items they have met. They actually emailed us right after, and they thanked us. They thanked us for the dialogue, which is great to me. And and another victory to me is having organizations. We have 56 organizations, not only local but across this country, who have supported our cause. So, and this is something that hasn't even it's been right about a month, and for not even a month yet.
Not even a
month. And to see what we've done, to see people rise and want to become a voice, because those who are incarcerated, those who are behind these walls, they have been disenfranchised. They no longer have a voice because they are scared. Because they're scared of retaliation. That goes for staff as well. So we're using it as an opportunity to become their voice. Not only us, regular community members, those who were formerly in these facilities, wanting to stand up for the people. And us as people, we need to begin to look at people who have been, caught up in the system as human beings. Because, I've made mistakes in my life. I could have easily been in their shoes. So I challenge everyone to no longer use the term inmate, to no longer use the term criminal, convict, number. Call them by their name. And that goes to show, in a reentry center, don't label them as an inmate. Call them by their name. That's what we need to do, and because we need to bring back humanity, and we need to start loving one another, to where we need to begin to accept and give people a second chance. So I don't know if you have anything to add. Nadia?
No. I think the dehumanization that's taking place of our community members is sickening. Our community members are specifically being sought out to be placed in these facilities, which is the most difficult thing to understand. You know, we all see a child that may be going through some difficult times, and we can easily intervene. And the way the government here is intervening is by building more facilities to lock our youth up in, or our family members. And to me, that's not true intervening. To me, that's a setup for failure. It's what is the word I'm looking for? It's just institutionalizing humans, and it's causing them to feel like there is no hope. And so how can you help somebody heal and transition from prison to community when they're still being addressed as numbers or as inmates? The psychiatric effects that go on in the prison system is just really absurd. There, you know, the mental illness that goes on that is not taken care of, and you know, mental illness and crime go hand in hand. So if we're not providing proper mental illness care for people who are in the facilities, how do we expect for them to rehabilitate? Mm-hmm. And that is something that they are not providing for our community members in the facilities, you know. And so it's not a true reentry. It's not authentic. There's nothing positive about it. There's nothing humane about it, and we are here to change the climate of that and the way the business is ran of picking profit over people. So that's why we're people over profit.
And so that's why this lot itself is a solution. It's a solution where people who have been affected by the system, it's a preventative measure for our children to have an outlet to go to, so that they don't wind up in the system. They're not going to prisons. They have a community garden, they have a park, they have an infrastructure where they can go to, and where they can have dialogue and, you know, steer away from things that are going on in the neighborhood. You know, and a lot of people don't understand the concentrated disadvantages that we have in our neighborhood that set people up to go to prisons.
Could you go into those?
Yeah, I mean, so growing up, you know, growing up in Southeast, I grew up in Southeast right next to Lincoln High School, and growing up, you know, I have always accepted it as the norm. And you question, what do you mean by the norm? So I never really challenge, why do I always see a liquor store in every corner? Why is it always a liquor store, a laundromat, a taco shop, and a church? Right? We see so many churches in our neighborhoods. You know, why are, and with that, going through a broken school system, right? So there's so many broken institutions, such as education, and most of families. Why is it that they are missing fathers and mothers, where we continue to perpetuate this cycle of incarceration, where fathers are going to prison, mothers are going to prison, and their sons and daughters don't have that mentor, that role model to look up to. So what are they going to do? You know, they're going to end up on the streets. You know, and people need to understand that. We need to start to invest in our communities. We need to start to invest in education. Like I said, when I was going to school, I wasn't taking SATs. I was taking ASVAB tests. That's what we do. You see a recruiter come in, but you don't see any colleges or major universities wanting to push you to go to college. So like I said, we accepted it as the norm. We didn't challenge it. And I can't harp on how important an education is. And so now, of course, us becoming educated and seeing the concentrated disadvantage, now we're wanting to give back and challenge the system, because that's how those in power control our communities, where we are stripped of voting rights, where we can't do certain things. That's what they want. You know, but it's up to us to come up and rise and challenge the status quo, and want to educate our sons and daughters to get up and want to give back and go to college.
Going back to the system of mass incarceration, these communities have a very high number of what police calls fourth waivers, which are people, for the public that do not know, that they are just out of prison, they don't have the Fourth Amendment protection.
Right.
Because of that, people are seeing people being stopped by police.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Well, I gotta say something about that. Before that even takes place, racial profiling has taken place. So, you're already breaking the law. You know what I mean? And that's a systematic oppression that happens in Barrio Logan, in Southeast San Diego, in such neighborhoods. Such as the term black on black crime, which is ridiculous. And so before you even get to the point where you're telling me I don't have a right to my fourth waiver, why are you racially profiling me? You see? And so that's where we come in, and other organizations from community, we educate the community about their rights, about the politics going on that are affecting people economically, emotionally, even with our climate, there's racism, there's in all different types of forms in these specific neighborhoods. And I don't think that the people don't care. I think that they don't know necessarily how to deal with it or how to fight it. And so the People's Lot will provide a safe space to talk about those conversations, to talk about things that are affecting our health, such as these ships here, to talk about things that are affecting our psyche, such as bad nutrition. Walmart, that's not quality food. They took out about 6 businesses from there, grassroots family businesses from there to throw a Walmart there. Mm-hmm. Granted, the community uses it, but guess what? We have no choice. So really, you're cornering people to have limited choices in community, and that's inappropriate. So this space, as small as it is, it will provide a lot of different opportunities to express and to be, like I keep saying, and to grow and to learn. So this space is magical. It's something bigger than just a park, So I don't know. I really feel like it's an answer, a small answer and solution.
And I wanted to hit on too when he talked about over policing. And this is something that most people don't understand. Growing up as a child, growing up as someone of color, or a mother in general, you're not having these conversations with your children, in Poway or La Jolla. You're not telling your children, hey, don't play with your water gun. You're not. Helicopter. But you're not telling your child to not to go outside to play with that water gun, right? Because it's a black water gun and it looks like a gun. But here, these are conversations that are deep that happen here, where you don't want your child to go out because you don't want him or her to get shot by the police. You're not walking home from school, which happened to me all the time, where the police would pull us over and just question you because of the clothing you were wearing, or because of the people you were hanging around yourself with, or because some of them were possibly documented as gang members. As soon as you're documented as a gang member, you're tagged for life. It's just like being tagged as a criminal, as being tagged as an inmate with a number. And people need to understand how hard it is for an individual. I'm going back to incarceration, for people coming out of prisons. They don't understand, I have to check that box as a felon when I'm applying for housing. I have to check that box as a felon when I'm applying for a job. So automatically that housing, that person who owns that apartment or that house, or that person that's trying to hire you, is going to stigmatize you and label you and automatically kick your application out. And that person who is applying is going to lose hope. And people don't understand those struggles. And those are struggles, real struggles every day. And so we need to, that's why I'm always big on wanting to ban the box. Give people an opportunity to showcase, who they truly are. And those are real issues, and I can't stress how many times I've seen people come to me, Mark, I don't know what to do. I've lost hope. Man, and it's hard. And I want people to begin to accept and give people a second chance and look at them as human beings, because we've all make mistakes. The same things that are happening here in Barrio, Logan, I guarantee you are happening in Poway or La Jolla or anywhere. Drug use is happening there as well. There's no such thing as blacks and browns use more drugs than whites, right? It's the same thing. The same things that are happening here are happening there. But people have the luxury of being under a roof, being behind a gated community, where things that are happening there are the same things that are happening, and people need to understand that.
They have a place to hide it.
And they have a place to do it. They have a place to use their drugs. They have a place to stash their drugs, So, America, I feel, needs to wake up and begin to accept one another and love one another, and stop. What we need to do is start inclusion. We need inclusion, not exclusion. We need to start talking about equality, equity, and inclusion. We need to start talking about the real issues in our community that affect our people, so that we can have dialogue, so that we can open minds, right? So that people can just become woke and stay woke.